Okay, so if you have been battling the feeling of like not feeling enough, if you have the feeling of lack, a lot of the times your self-worth is interchangeably tied within it. And so we are going to discuss today, I'm going to pull some cards for you. I'm going to try to give you some tips of how we can come together for you to be able to begin feeling like you're making a lot more forward momentum probably than you have before. So I like to teach off of sustainable living. And what I mean by that is like, I just kind of made that up just now. What that means to me is I feel that those, for you watching this right now, that we exist maybe not inside of a lot of the crowds that are out there already. And it's not because we're broken or we're like the misfits and all this stuff. Like, I think we're just incredibly unique. And I also think I tend to serve those that are highly sensitive. And what I mean by that is we don't always have the luxury to just be able to see something and instantly change it. We're not always the most like, give us a goal and we're going to go execute that thing out. A lot of times we get super stuck in our head. And then when we get super stuck in our head, it has a lot to do with our external environment. But I will attest, as a person that once was extremely stuck in the head, and as a person that definitely came from completely lack of self-worth, confidence, just everything, you name it. I pretty much could win an award for those categories at those times of my life, because I have grown out of them, or at least from like being 10s in them to, on a good day, I'm about a 2 or less most of the time. Occasionally I can rise up depending on, I'm still human. But because I know that I had growth, I know that growth for you is also possible because I'm no different. The universe has me as a mirror to you. And there are those that are around you so that you could see yourself within it. So a lot of the times what we can get caught up in as highly sensitive people and as those that are, I don't know, I guess you could say not really necessarily feeling left behind, but like, why the fuck does it take so long for me to figure something out or to actually embody it, to actually be able to implement the change inside of the body instead of it just being a thought. And the thing is our bodies need more nurturing than other people in order to be able to feel safe to hold the action. So it's not coming from a logical standpoint. Okay. So what we're doing is bringing in way more feminine energy into your life. We're not looking to perfect your life. Okay. This is what we're not trying to do, but we are looking to bring it into a more of a harmonic balance. So what I mean by that is as you're approaching change in your life. So this is how I want you to see it. Like as you are becoming the next version of yourself, we are not cold turkeying the change. Let me clarify what I mean by that. I, again, am an advocate of sustainable living, and meaning sustainable self-growth as well as manifestation and all these things. I'm not one to be like, if you wanted to quit smoking cigarettes today, that I'd be like, if you really wanted to do this, completely do not touch a cigarette ever again. I'd be like, hey, all right, how many do you currently smoke a day? And then if you're like, I smoke a pack a day, however many cigarettes that is, I have no idea. But I'd be like, all right, let's see if today you can do have one cigarette left in the pack at the end of the day before you go to sleep, where the next morning you wake up with one cigarette left. So I'm more on the let's pace ourselves to get there. And now if you happen to overachieve your goal where you had 3 cigarettes left instead of just one, I think that's fantastic, but you didn't set yourself up for failure. So I feel the same way with self-development. We can overextend ourselves to believe that we can go further than we feel that we can because we get caught up in the romanticization of life. So what I want you to do is you're going to stay yourself right now as you work towards your next version of yourself, because as you stay with yourself, meaning I am right where I need to be. I am right where I need to be. A lot of people do not like that statement. It can be very triggering because you hear me say that and then you might focus on if you have debt or the loneliness or the heartbreak or the whatever that is not achieving in your life. It can feel like, are you kidding me, Danielle? You're telling me I'm right where I need to be. No, I'm not. Okay. Until you can accept that you're right where you need to be, and where you need to be is going to show you lots of things. We don't always want to see it. So that's what makes us different from other people, is a lot of times we do tend to attach to the victim mindset instead of pushing past it. And that's just something that I've accepted that I do. And once I did, instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna bypass that. I was like, okay, I'm not defining myself by it, but I notice habitually I have a tendency to act like a victim. I'm a lot more sensitive. I have a tendency to act like a victim. So when I acknowledged that, it actually gave me a lot of reprieve in my life. It was actually what allowed me to move forward because I was honest with who I was, how I acted, and what I did. So when that occurred, I was able to have more fluidity into my life. And therefore, you are kind of faking it till you make it, but it's the intention behind something. Are you doing it with deception, hurt, and deceit? Or are you trying to be this next version of yourself because you desire to be a better human and a better person? Okay, so those are the differentiating factors of, I don't like the phrase fake it till you make it if you're manipulating someone and pretending to be like you're on a date and you're pretending to be something, but you're like you're only using that person to get what you want and then move on. No, I don't agree with that. However, if you are trying to be a calmer person, less reactive person, not feeling like everybody is misunderstanding you and all these other things, a lot of times it's our communication style is why we're not really feeling understood. And then sometimes our expectation towards another person is why we can feel misunderstood. Or where are you approaching life in terms of that you're feeling lack? Where is self-responsibility not been had? Because again, a lot of times with super sensitive people, we have a tendency to not have self-responsibility, not in the full capacity. We still somewhere in there are kind of like, yeah, but if that person did that, if the algorithm did this, if, XYZ did this, then it would be different. So if you keep focusing on, I am right where I need to be, and I just haven't gotten to where I'm going to go yet. Okay. It's just yet, yet. I teach this to my 6 and my 8-year-old. It's yet. It doesn't mean not ever. It just means not now. And just like if you're building a house, like you can buy the paintings, you can buy the paint, you can pick out your sink fixtures and plumbing and all these things that you want to decorate it so beautifully. But if you don't have the walls to the house, like the house isn't built yet, it doesn't matter what you have. You can't fill it. So that's what you're working towards. Okay. So you have to go the sustainable route in order to take the time to build the foundation, to build the walls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, in order for you to properly house and energetically hold the next version of you. So I do want to read the specific part from this card. So it was like on the deck before I started pulling, and then I was pulling some more, and it just says, the answer to your question lies in determining what form of water reveals the conditions of your life and then recognizing the next evolution of your life's potential. If you're in an ebb, you can expect a flow. If things are temporarily frozen, soon they'll be melting. If it seems that your world is too wet and temporary shelter is needed, you can expect new growth and sunny days again. So, alignment message, overwhelm and empathy overload has opened up a tidal wave of emotion that feels like it's threatening to engulf you. Feelings are unruly now, and that you may discover it's difficult to control them as you project their shadowy fears onto the screen of your life. So it is your assignment to detach, step back, and allow your feelings to pass through you like water, okay, without judgment or disapproval. Let your fears be washed away with self-love and understanding. The world can be a chaotic place, and uncertainty can create instability where people will act out in incomprehensible ways. Move to a higher ground, say no to engaging, and wait. Now is the time to respond when you feel ready rather than react in the heat of the moment, okay? So this is basically kind of what I was already saying. When you do this, you are going to open up the door to be able to abundantly begin to change your life. I don't mean when I use the word abundant, this is where you also have to start changing the vocabulary in your mind from the romanticization of the fallacy of the life that you're going to live. When you live right where when you accept that you are right where you need to be, okay, it's a common ground place. And as your soul, you are meant to accept that it's not a fallacy and a fantasy and a glamorous aspect that you're driving towards. Your soul wants to feel contentment inside of itself as it is, no matter where it is. This is ego. This is ego in your eyes and your ears as they presently are. If you're just going in your day-to-day relations and notions and scanning the social media feeds, they will make you feel less than. They also can give you the addictive qualities of the future characteristics of yourself and what you fantasize through the romanticization of what you shall become. Yet if the execution, meaning if the application is never there because you don't actually truly believe it inside of yourself and you don't feel safe within it, it's not going to come forward. So this can happen with money. This can happen with exercise. This can happen with relationships, okay? So What is one nervous system tool that you can use? Well, I pulled butterfly wings. It says butterfly stretching is an uplifting contraction and expansion movement of your arms and body that synchronize with your breath. This exercise keeps your nervous system from descending into freeze, which means that halting progress, not moving forward. Okay, so stand with your feet hip width apart. Inhale as you curl back and fold your arms in front of you. I will show the diagram in a second. Exhale with an audible sigh, simultaneously expanding your arms, pushing your chest forward, and gently leaning your head back. Coordinate these movements with your breath, feeling each inhale and exhale, and guide your rhythm. A complete cycle is 1 to 3 times. Let the dance of breath and movement reinvigorate you. You also legitimately have the play card and you have the dance card. Okay. So dance doesn't always mean like music, dancing. Okay. It sometimes is creating the environment in the beat of your own drum. Okay. So here's the movement that you're going to be doing that I was just reading. So breathe in and then out, okay? Like you're creating the movement of safety. So you have to allow yourself to start small. It is safe for me to receive. It is safe for me to be safe. It is safe. You can even just start like with your nervous system in itself. Like you don't have to actually do a round of EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. You don't have to specifically do something methodical in order to like, I guess you could say like bring in change. It's repetitive. So it's the self-discovery of yourself. So if this is something that you genuinely need help with, I have an entire course in Authentic Evolution that like walks you through the premise of this. And then even before then, in case like you really need to get into the self-discovery yourself, I have Unmask Your True Self. And what this allows you to do, so Unmask Your True Self used to be the unicorn course I used to do live. And what it is, it's about the really true self-discovery of self-love. So you're going to have a hard time ever feeling safe inside of your body if you still don't really truly feel nurtured by yourself, like when you're alone, and if you still have a lot of defensiveness, if you still have like a lot of overcompensation when somebody tells you something that's triggering, there's still a lot of like inner stuff to do where that external environment to call in more money or clients or a better job, etc., is going to be really hard to come into your life. Again, detach from the fact that you saw Susan over here make $11 billion by Thursday. A lot of the things that we see publicly is not the truth of their reality, nor will it ever attain to your reality. No different than my projections of my life. I can tell you things that I've achieved and have and do, but they're literally, other than I tell my stories of humaning, I use them as perspective, but like no matter how much money I ever have and my family experiences, like in the abundance of wealth, has absolutely no bearing on your life. And the reason why is you're on your own soul experience and so am I. So any hoodle, again, focus on just see the butterfly wings as expansion. Okay. If you don't want to be so literal about it, allow your body to intuitively kind of guide you, like feel inside of your body. Where does it not feel safe? Where is the resistance heavily present right now? What is one cycle that is like really, really there? Because, all right, I have self-worth and lack mindset. In what terms? Is it all areas of your life? Because at one point for me, it was like basically all areas of my life. And then if I had any human relationships that was astray, like if I was fighting with my mom, I always would fight with my mom. And then like once I got into a relationship with my husband, when we were, just dating and etc., like as the years progressed, like whenever stuff like that would get discombobulated, I was discombobulated because my identity was given away to others because I didn't really have the steadfast nature inside of myself to feel like I alone could bring it into form, like that I alone could really expand my life. Like I didn't feel like that was possible. So I did slow and steady steps. Okay. When I stopped trying to act like I had it all together, or when I stopped following those that would manipulate you into believing that you needed to sacrifice parts of yourself financially or emotionally or physically in order to achieve something, I started to realize maybe that worked for them, if that is even their truth, but that doesn't seem to work for me. And so I didn't need to overextend myself in order to change. I did have to get uncomfortable with myself sometimes. And I noticed that if I really wanted to embody the change. I needed to be still for a while. And that means that sometimes in that very said moment, I don't have an answer and I don't have words to come out and I don't have feelings to feel because right now they're contaminated with the illusionary qualities that I have. So I pause for a while and I sit with myself. And what I choose to do in all situations is I try to find as many sides of the story as I can besides the one that I felt was my own, that I was so passionate about or so adamant about. So I'll do this with my husband. I do this with my children. I do this with stuff in business. And we really have to sit with ourselves. Like, have we really been accountable? Have we really been aware? Are we being extremely biased towards our own side and not seeing other sides? Are we allowing room for improvement? Are we allowing ourselves to expand our wings and to realize that in order to become this next version of ourselves, we are slowly ending a past habit? And to me, in order to be able to move past that, to create a new habit, there has to have something else to go into its form. So as we're quitting the cigarettes, what are we filling in its place? What are we doing with that time that you would take, however long it takes to smoke a cigarette? What is then happening in that time? Okay. Like the qualities in which bad relationship after bad relationship has happened. Okay. First off, what is the thing that you're seeking? Does it start off with lust? So then is it sexualization? Does it feel like you need to start with that before you then can connect? Do you realize that you actually have a fear of intimacy? Like, having sex is, yes, it's an intimate thing, but it's also can just be an action. It can be a very detached thing because you can have mental intimacy, mental stimulation of intimacy that can be so vulnerable when you're not even doing anything physically whatsoever. And that is like a fear that people have because, oh, if you really get to know me and you really get to see me, you're not going to like what I see. So then if you start off with flawed beans or you start off with shitty jobs, well then no, of course they can't find out that you suck because you won't get, you can't. They're going to be like, surprise, obviously you went below average to begin with. So we have to get honest with ourselves and then figure out like, where is it like off balance here? Like, where is this just not going to work? It's kind of like you have this vision in your mind to build the house. But then if you look at the blueprints, it's not even what it looks like, what you keep saying that you're going to have. And then the contractors are not going to be able to build this thing that you have because they're just looking at the paper. They're going off of the tangible. They're going off of the reality. And so you can fantasize and have this fallacy in your mind over and over and over and over and over again. But if it's not there, if it's not set and it's not planned and there's no strategy and there's no structure, you can keep happenstance in all your life. And that's why it's always going to be like such a distant future away until you get really super honest with yourselves. And that's the thing is not everybody likes this. Nobody wants to hear this. But if you really genuinely want to change your life, you really do have to face yourself. And it can be incredibly uncomfortable, which is why I highly recommend, whether it's in one of my communities or somewhere else, like find a way to be supported. And more importantly, find a way that you can find a way to love yourself in a whole new way without so much judgment, hatred. Especially the biggest one for me was always resentment. I resented a lot of the decisions that I made. I realized like resentment was a lot. And I felt disappointed. I felt disappointed in myself. Like even as I progressively like loved myself, liked myself, had a profitable business, kept being married, have 2 children. I still had these moments where I had this, like, I was angry at myself. And I realized the thing that I was still angry with is that I still was holding some of the behaviors and some of the thoughts. And so I still to this day am releasing some of those things. You don't know what you don't know until they come forward. And that's why we're on a human experience and not a human destination. It's a journey. It's a progress. It's a process to progress through, and it can be a lot. It really can be. But just know right here, just for the fact that if you've watched this message and you're listening to this, that there is something in you, that you desire more, that you're meant for more. It doesn't mean that it's a 14-bedroom mansion or $11 billion or the Cinderella story in order to have that. Sometimes it's really meeting stuff with what it is, doing the work that it takes. And sometimes it sucks. Sometimes the work sucks, like washing dishes and doing laundry. I want the kitchen clean. I want clean clothes to wear. I'm going to do it. I don't necessarily like it. And I'm not always like, oh, this is the most joyous experience of my life. No, sometimes I'm like, motherfucker, there's more shit in the sink again. Okay. Like, is how I actually feel sometimes. Otherwise, 90% of the time, I'm just neutral. I'm very robotic with it. It gets done. And that's that, because I know the result from it is worth it. Okay. So that's kind of just how you have to see things.